So we're all dressed out to go into the object ukriti, the shelter object. We're going from SP 1430, the change facility. We're going to walk down this road here, enter the checkpoint into the local zone and shelter object down here at the east end.
Oh yeah, let's go. Going right in, you can see the old sarcophagus and the chimney in the background. And this crane you might remember from my video about the new safe confinement. And now we're gonna enter the old shelter object.
Не открывается! Только открывается. 361!
Не с одной стороны, что ли?
С двух сторон открывается, я буду сейчас шугать.
Давай, ищи, мы пока пойдем. Только поторопи.
Beautifully creepy hallways.
So we used to see the smoking area, put a sign saying no smoking in the shelter object.
And to be quite frank, I'm very, very happy that as opposed to, for example, detecting chemicals or identifying chemicals correctly, it is so comparably easy to attach a sense to yourself which is able to detect radiation, because look at that. Such dramatic changes in radiation levels, high radiation levels, that we can encounter in here. It would feel quite creepy to be there without the sense of detecting radiation. It's like stumbling around a building site or a forest while being blind, as a person that normally sees, so to say. A very scary situation. The radiation levels right where we aren't too bad, but the thing is, if you go on that corridor and walk a little further and actually enter the area where the molten reactor core still remains, about 150 tons of nuclear fuel remain in there, which molten together in a big pile of junk, basically, of graphite, of anything that was in there and that made up the reactor core, into 1,300 tons of fuel-containing masses that remain in there nowadays. And if you go there and get close to these fuel-containing masses, you can receive a fatal dose of radiation within minutes, even to this day, 30 years after the accident. Anyway, we are close to the control room. Now, just for your orientation, the new safe confinement NSC is to the west, turbine building is to the south, the reactor hall is that big square you can see, and we're heading right by the pink path to CR, that is the control room of unit number 4. That's where it all happened, and that's where we're going right now. And here we are. So we're here in the control room of reactor number 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant.
Это было рабочее место инженера управления реактором.
This is the reactor operator's position. This is the balance of plant, meaning the pumps and so forth. And at the far end is the turbo generator set controls. And then there are back panels that have the safety parameter display systems and things like that. It looks like all of the control rod position indicators have been removed from the core cartogram over here, but there's one that is just evidently it's just been laid out on the top of the bench here. But these were for the 200 control rods that unfortunately did not make it all the way into the core when they tried to shut this reactor down. Out here at the panel, it looks like they've replaced a lot of things, but the button where the fatal shutdown occurred was over here. They had the so-called AZ button, the level 5 emergency shutdown button. I think they say they pressed it just because the experiment was done and that was a way to shut down the reactor. But unfortunately, they had too much reactivity in the headers on the leaders on the control rods, and ended up starting a runaway chain reaction that they couldn't stop. So the young man sitting here, Leonid Toptunov, dead. His supervisor, Alexander Akimov, dead. He was younger than I was, and killed in this accident. And the deputy chief engineer, Anatoly Dyatlov, lived long enough to give his account of the accident, and he argued with INSAG about some of the technical matters leading up to the accident. The operators got a lot of blame initially, and the understanding now is that it mostly had to do with some unknown or understudied physics problems having to do with the RBMK reactor.
So, this is it. This is where the world's worst nuclear accident happened. But, peekaboo, let's find some hotspots. And this thing actually says smoker's room again. Kinda weird.
Yeah, right up here's a good hot spot. So this is one of the hottest spots I found in here. Measures about it's about 12 milliroentgens per hour, so not terrible. But in the old Unit 4 control room, this is one of the highest. And you can see here we're at axis 51. This tells us where in the building we are.
30 micro at this point.
On this wall, turbine. We think it's probably just leakage, water leaking down. You see, but
Oh, that's a detector. Sodium iodide or something?
yeah.
Not sure what that was measuring at the time, but let's check out some of the contamination in this room. Scale maxed out. Seems to be a lot of data. Oh, 30.
Okay, yeah, not bad.
Well, at least gamma's not so bad.
Yeah.
That's a lot of alpha.
This is Flat Stanley in control room 4 at Chernobyl. All the way from Arizona. Little Flat Stanley. From DeGrazia Elementary School.
Yeah. And we go now. Back through that golden corridor, where that one wall is totally covered in lead. You can see it on the left. And this is for a reason. I mean, you can see the dose rates here. We're exceeding 100 microsievert per hour despite the lead shielding. What an exciting place to be. So I sure hope that you enjoyed this visit as much as I did, and thanks for watching.